I did have ads on. That's good. I didn't have a description. So, Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone in the future. I'm going to give this a second. I do want to show everyone this because I just told Monica and Lexi that I'm super grumpy. So Casman went to the grocery store and got me 4 chocolate bars.
Amazing.
So that's good. Hello, everyone. We are here for the Pyramid Book Club discussion of All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This was my pick. Okay. This was my pick, and I picked this because I don't know why. I was very excited for it. So before we get started, we're going to talk about what the book is about, and then we'll have Monica give her star rating. And then we'll go into the non-spoiler section, and then we'll get into all the spoilers, and then we'll be done. So All the Dangerous Things is about this woman named Isabel, right? I never know anyone's name. Okay, sure. I don't know. Yeah. And we're following her a year after her child was taken from his crib in the middle of the night, and she is still searching for him, and she hasn't slept in a year. And honestly, if someone took Theo out of his crib in the middle of the night, I probably wouldn't sleep anymore either. So give me 1 second so I can do this. We're going to do the non-spoiler section, and if everyone wants to give their star rating if they read this, that'd be great, and I'm going to make Monica go first. Monica?
Wow, I get to go first for once?
Amazing!
I gave it 5 stars.
Nice! Excited to talk about this. I'm excited. Yeah. Lexi?
I'm going to go with 4.
Nice. And I gave it 4.5.
Nice.
That's besides, what was that? Baking one. This is like the most on top of it we've been. And it was my pick, so I feel really successful. I'm going to get through these comments really fast. Everyone is saying hello. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Carol. Hi, Cool Gamer. Hi, Bree. Hi, Sherry. Hello. Oh, my God.
You made the mistake of starting by saying people's names.
I know. Gave it 3.5. Okay. Sherry, 4.5. Same. Hi, Bree. Stephanie gave it 4 stars. I've been waiting for this. This is what I want to hear. Nicole gave it 5 stars. Annie, 3.5. 4. 4.5. 4.5. Wow. Oh no. Okay. Here we go. 2 stars. I like it.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts on that.
I want to hear. Okay, so we're gonna get into the non-spoiler section, which is gonna last maybe 2 minutes because this is gonna be hard to talk about without spoilers. Yeah. 3.5. I don't do star ratings, but if I did 3.5 or 4. Okay, so we're mostly all on the same page. I gave it 4.5, but on Goodreads it goes to 5 because it doesn't have star ratings and I always go up. But though I didn't love the beginning. I know a lot of people said it was slow or boring or whatever, and I was not bored, but I think compared to the latter half of this book, it definitely was slow. Mm-hmm. Everything, all of the plot twists, all of everything came back to back to back to back at the end, and that's why I gave it 4.5 instead of the 5. What about you, Monica? 5 stars?
I did this one based on vibes alone. With the way I read it in 3 sittings. I started it last Saturday, I think, and I got through the first third, and then I read all but 50 pages during sprints on Tuesday. And then this morning I just knocked the rest of it out. And it was one of those books that, like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, I want to keep going. I want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of anything that like made me irrationally angry. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're just going with it.
I will say there are like 2 plot points to this. There was like the like what was happening with her son, and then there was also a plot point of what happened with her sister in the past. And I didn't really enjoy the past timeline as much as the plot line with her son.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it was happening to make her seem like an unreliable narrator, which is fine because I like unreliable narrators in thrillers. I think it's like it's a mind fuck for me at least. So, but I just like thinking, like, I put this book down a couple days ago, and when I think about it, I just think, okay, but was that really necessary? So yeah, that's like my other thing.
I think the backstory also added a lot to the conversations that were being had in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I can't go into anything right now, but like there were like a lot of related conversations, but like also slightly different. So
Yeah.
I think it did add to like what the author wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I read or listened to the author's note, and this author is not a mother, but like I never would have guessed that.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it was done really. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a mother either, but I feel like it was done very well.
Yeah, like I know we were talking about this on sprints when we were sprinting with this book, but every once in a while I would look at the baby monitor. He's literally sleeping right now, and I would check on Theo. So like it was very like it was rough. Like it was a rough read for me, but like I couldn't believe in the author's note when she was like, I'm not a mother. And I was like, that is really interesting, because I felt like she had experience or something as like it felt like that. So I thought that was interesting. Let's get through some of these comments and then we'll go to the spoiler section because I really want to talk about it.
We can also talk about our upcoming stuff before people might leave.
Yes, let's do these comments and then do that. Yes. And, I was bored in the beginning. I feel like after reading the second half, I do feel like it was slow. I don't think I was bored. It was just like setting up everything for the latter half. That was a big part for me, the slow speed. Also, the transition of the younger years were a bit confusing in the beginning. I couldn't really connect with her throughout. Yeah, that was mine too. I just didn't enjoy like the latter. I mean, the past. I did not enjoy the beginning too much, so I dropped a star. I could have been more decisive from beginning to my pointless lines of BS. Yeah, I get that, Kay. I felt like the tension was implied, but as someone who isn't a mother, I didn't get the desperation that the character should have been feeling. I agree that the backstory was needed, even though it was not as gripping as the present timeline. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi, everyone. I enjoyed this one. I have 3.5 rounded up to 4. We're all kind of in agreement with this one. I like the podcast aspect wasn't from the podcaster, but from someone on the podcast affected by the crime. Yeah. I didn't realize that this was going to have a podcast feature at all. So when that was happening, I was pleasantly surprised because I really like that in books, especially when it has to do with thrillers.
Mm-hmm. I liked a lot of the conversations that this one had about true crime and like podcasts, like true crime podcasts and stuff in it as well.
Yeah, because
the effect it has on like the case and the people and everything.
Yeah, because she was the one affected by the crime, and she was like, I hate true crime. She was like, I don't approve of this. So
but also she wanted to keep it going,
keep it relevant. Yeah,
because that's the only way to find her son. Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. After not really enjoying her first book, this was much better. I thought she wrote motherhood very well. I agree. I like this one way more than I liked her first one. For me, I'm not a huge fan of unreliable narrators or explorations of motherhood, not mother. That being said, love the ending, and her writing is chef's kiss, hence 3.5 stars. Yeah, I did love the ending of this one. Slow beginning made me knock off 0.5 star. The rest was fun, crazy ride, even if it was a little ridiculous. Yeah, I feel like I don't care if thrillers are ridiculous. That doesn't bother me at all.
I feel like what they could have done, because part of me thinks that the beginning felt so slow because they were doing like both timelines at the same time. but the younger, like the past, didn't become relevant until she, as an adult, started like getting into more of the like case. So I feel like if they had waited further into the book to do the other timeline, it would have gone a lot quicker and like made more sense. It just felt like the past didn't fit until we got the context of
a certain point. Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm gonna turn my camera off for 2 seconds.
Okay,
I'm still here.
Okay. I actually liked her first book more. Interesting. I think I gave that one 3 stars. So I absolutely didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. And I thought it was predictable. And a lot of the things and all the dangerous things I didn't predict. Not that I go into thrillers trying to predict anything anymore, but I was just like caught off guard by a few things.
I liked the concept of the first one more, and I just really liked a lot of the discussions in this one.
Yeah.
Even as someone that is not a mother, it's still like societal pressures that are like you're very aware of, even if you're not a mother, like as a woman.
Yeah.
So I really liked a lot of that, and I honestly think that's what made it work for me, because the plot of this one wasn't as exciting for me personally.
I always, now being a mother, like books, especially thrillers about motherhood, because I feel like they go into the nitty-gritty of it and they're just like, it kind of sucks. And I'm like, yeah, it sucks today. So I did enjoy the podcast also, and the sleepwalking gave the story a little bit more spooky, mysterious factor it needed. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in the spoiler section because it's kind of creepy. After really sitting with it, this book was tackling quite a few societal ideologies, and I thought that was brilliant. Me too. I like both of her books. All the Dangerous Things was slightly better to me. Me too.
So both of you read, what was her other one?
It's called A Flicker in the Dark. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't read that one.
This was my first one. I would read. It was a good time. I just don't think it was as good as this one for me personally. Okay. From the author's note, I also love that she really wanted to write about complex and flawed women. I also like the first one more. Interesting. Yeah. I thought she did flawed motherhood really well. At the end of this book, I was left with, did I just read a feminist book without overly shoving it down my throat? That's what I felt too. I felt the exact same way.
Yeah, everything felt really natural. Nothing was like, here's my opinion and I'm going to write it in this sentence.
Yeah, and the fact, once again, that she said she's not a mother. And I was just like, you hit motherhood perfectly for me. So I was a big fan of that. Personally, wasn't a fan of her first book. With this one, I honestly would have dropped another half star if she used the word flicker one more time.
I noticed that too. Whenever I listened to the first one, I was like, oh my God, how many times can she put flicker in
her book? That's so funny. I don't think I noticed that, but when she...
Now I'm going to notice it.
Yeah, when she hit... At one point in a chapter, it was like all these dangerous things. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't mind if it's put in, but in A Flicker in the Dark, it was like at least 10 times.
Really? I don't think I noticed that, but I was driving.
Yeah, I was like, flicker is not that common of a word that is be in this book that many times.
And it's also a debut, and I always feel like, yeah. I think personally I just like the tropes in her first one more, but I usually don't pick up thrillers with motherhood themes, so totally a personal thing. I get that too. And I like motherhood in thrillers, so that's why I picked this one. Before we get to the spoiler section, Lexi, do you want to talk about next month since it's your book?
Yes. So next month, I don't have it with me, but we will be reading episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This is like found footage horror. So the discussion will be on my channel, and I believe it's Monica. It's Monica hosting Sprints. And then we also, for April, are going to be reading X's and O's by Amy Leah. Is that her?
I think it's Lee.
Lee. Okay. And that's on Monica's channel, and then Michelle will be hosting Sprints, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. It'll be a fun time.
Yes.
Okay, this is your warning. We're going to get into all the spoilers for all the dangerous things. So if you have not read it and you want to, I would exit. And then when you read it, you can come back and we'll talk about everything. Okay, I guess I want to start with, God, what do I want to start with? There are so many things to talk about in this book, and there's so many twists.
So much.
But I guess the first twist was that the husband was married before, and then she died. I was like, what? And that was like the first twist, and that was for me like what made me like I couldn't put it down after that. And I almost stayed up, which I usually don't stay up like at all, to finish that book in one night. So I thought that was a really good twist. And she was just like, I didn't realize that we look exactly the same. And I was like, oh. Yeah, I thought this one had way better twists than A Flicker in the Dark did. And it just like kept going. But I wish that the first half of this book wasn't so slow compared to the last half. You know what I mean?
I did like that. There was no point where I was bored in this.
No.
A lot of people like were bored.
Yeah, I was not bored at all.
And I think it was the addition of the comments on how like true crime is like can be very harmful.
Yes.
That like made me interested in it, because I share a lot of the opinions that were in this. Like I don't consume true crime because like I personally feel weird about it. So like I was really liking that. So it's something that like I could grab onto on top of the like motherhood storyline. So like I was never bored because of that.
I was never bored, but I just felt like once we got to that first twist of the wife, I was like, okay, I'm fully invested now, because that was a great twist. And then after that, it was just twist on top of twist on top of twist. And I was just like, this is...
But they worked. They worked
They
together.
worked.
It wasn't like being like punched in the face a million times.
Yeah, it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt like it fit in with what the story was doing, and that the husband was absolutely awful. I hate men. God. It's just like, okay. Let me get through some of these comments and then we'll go on to something else. Hold on. Oh, what's amazing is how I saw myself in all the female characters, being naive, being a daughter, the pressure of being a mother, being a partner, and balancing all that ish while keeping appearances. Yeah, I feel like during the day, and most of the time in like my videos, I try to act like I'm having a great time in motherhood. And before we started, I'm having like an awful day with motherhood. Like Theo hit me in the face and Rowan ran out in traffic today. So it's just like not a good motherhood day. And it is really hard. And you just can't you can't lose your shit. And it's like the worst thing ever. I wasn't bored at all. It was so good. I agree. That's what kept me reading, was those twists with the husband and his brother-in-law bringing his theories to Isabel, seeing it all connect. I did not see whatever his name is, the podcaster, the brother-in-law. So
I really liked that one. I thought the twist with him being married before like wasn't like shocking to me, just because like I feel like that's a common.
I just didn't expect her to be dead. When she was when she was talking to the podcaster, who she didn't know at that point in time was the brother-in-law, and she was like, "Oh yeah, she died, by the way." And I was just like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, that was good. She was like, "Yeah, they're married or having an affair. They didn't like do anything, but they were having an emotional affair." Yeah. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, she died." I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, when did you finally get together? When she died.
Well, she died, by the way.
At the memorial service.
Literally.
And then the podcast. Well, I wish I could remember his freaking name. Waylon, thank you. When he like caught them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when she realizes that, she's like, oh my gosh, it was him.
Well, there was a comment, like, whenever we were learning about that, she's like, because there was someone that, like, saw them and then, like left. And then she's like, I feel like I'm being watched. And later we find out that it is Waylon that's, like, watching them. Yeah.
And the thing is, Waylon kept his cool, like, interviewing her, and I would... beat a hoe.
But at the same time, he wasn't after her.
He wasn't after
Yeah.
her.
Like,
Like,
I think that's the only thing that kept him from losing it was because he knew, like, she is not responsible for what happened to her.
yeah, it's all this husband's Ben. Ben
Yeah.
was the common denominator in
Yeah.
everything. And like, he knew, even though she was an unreliable narrator, Waylon knew that she had nothing to do with her son missing.
Yeah, and I also really liked that, like, so I feel like in society there's like a lot of like blaming for the other woman. So I liked how that was not really in here.
Yeah. He was like
He like obviously
Like,
she
it was
doing
wrong, but
it wasn't like her that was like the
Mhm.
only problem, you know.
And the other thing was like when they met at that bar, she didn't know that he was married at first. And then when she found out, she like stayed back, but he was the one coming to her.
Yeah.
And after knowing, I mean, obviously he knew he was married and he was like,
he's a creep and went after someone that looked exactly like his wife.
Exactly.
A younger version too.
Yeah. And then he did it again. And it all had to do with pregnancy and like not being able to control her. Like she wanted to go back to work and he was like, absolutely not, I'm gonna replace you.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to be
There's
dad.
some good comments that
I'm sorry, I'm stuck here.
no, I know.
When we found out he was married, I was like, oh no, everyone was now a suspect. Yep. I stayed up until 4 a.m. to finish this book. That is great. I couldn't put it down. I love that. Yes, the brother-in-law twist, that was a good one. Absolutely.
That's what I liked, yeah.
The multiple twists added to the overall enjoyment of this book. I love the twists.
I agree because I feel like in a domestic thriller, for me personally, one is not enough.
Yeah. I didn't feel like they happened like too soon or like too many. I felt like they were the perfect amount and they happened like in the perfect amount of time. He was the worst. Yeah.
So true.
Hold on, my comments jumped. I'm so sorry. Yeah, when we find out he's married, all the women look alike. What a monster. I get you have a type. Don't kill them off. Literally. I don't know what this is in reference to, but shit, yeah. I think I just like Ben from the beginning and it just got worse throughout. When you can't like stay with your wife after you go through a trauma of a kid together. Red flag, you know?
Mm-mm.
When we found out that Waylon was the dead wife's brother, my jaw literally dropped while reading. Me too. The manipulation and gaslighting in this book by Ben, I cannot. Literally, Ben. Ugh. I didn't expect all the previous partner to look identical to the wife. Amazing.
Yeah, I liked that addition to like the previous wife.
Because I also feel like I don't remember physical descriptions in books at all. Like I can't picture anything. So I'm just like, okay, cool. At one point, I guess they said that like what color hair she had or whatever. I don't remember a single thing. So it wasn't until she made the connection that I would like, even if they had, I don't remember if they gave descriptions or not, but I would never have put the pieces together until she did. But as soon as she did, as soon as she realized, or I guess it was both of them when they were talking about Valerie, when they discovered that she looked exactly like both of them, that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, she did it.
Yeah, and Waylon was the one who was like, she looks exactly like you. How are you not seeing this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was that moment I was like,
Valerie,
Valerie.
Yeah. I loved it. It was so twisty. I gave it 4 stars. The brother-in-law was a twist I did not see coming. Same. Hello, read this a while back. Enjoyed, but a bit fuzzy on the details at this point. I understand. That's why we read it the week of. Yeah. That baby daddy was a bitch. No joke. Ben was the ultimate fucking gaslighter. I hated him. It's just like a red flag if you go through a trauma together and you can't stay together.
And then you're the one that's attacking her. Like, because the whole time he was the one convincing everyone that she was crazy. And like,
and he kept saying, you don't want to know what happened and trying to gaslight her. Like,
yeah. Because like at the end he claimed he didn't know.
Yeah.
So he was really just being an asshole.
He really was. Like, he's the one who brought up, like, oh, the baby monitor is broken. Like, he knew.
Yeah, he knew.
Right? I thought he was a little sympathetic to her because he knew it was Ben's manipulation by how Ben treated his sister. Yep. I feel like this is a book I thought Riley Sager books would be, but the misogyny in those books are so freaking annoying. Yeah. Sorry, my comments are jumping. Always something with the husband, so wasn't surprised, about that, but necessarily. But yes, Waylon being the brother-in-law was a shocker. I loved it. That was like the best twist. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to chat about Allison and her nativity. This was a good domestic thriller. I often don't drive with domestic thrillers fully because they are too predictable. I thought these twists, just like, I don't go into thrillers trying to guess, but like, I never would have guessed Waylon.
Yeah, and I completely agree with this comment, like, just for my personal reading taste.
Yeah, me too. Do you remember hating Ben throughout and enjoying the twist? Everyone hates Ben. We're Ben haters.
If anybody doesn't hate Ben, I have questions.
Let's go. We're going
concerns. Like,
Only other thing that bothered me was what's her name being that person who took Mason. I was like, okay, where the fuck were you the whole book hiding? But like, she didn't come in. I think from the timeline, like, he just started talking. So I think Mason was probably about like a year old, and she started working again when he was 6 months old. And that's when
I think Ben, he said he was like 18 months.
Okay, yeah.
Like that. I think he was 18 months when he was taken.
So they were together for like a year.
Yeah.
He was 6 months old when they started when he was hooking up with Valerie.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Ben didn't help in the search rescue. I was like, nope, you're on the short list of suspects. It's always the husband. But like, this twist was better, I think, that it was like the
because it was him, but also like it wasn't fully him.
Yeah, like he knew, but he didn't like actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Valerie. Okay, Valerie was the third mistress. Yeah, Valerie was, the third mistress. Not Allison. Allison was the wife. Red flag, red pole, red house, all red. Agree with Bree. Domestic thrillers aren't good with me either, but I did enjoy a chunk of this book. It kept me reading. I just really didn't like Isabel, and it kept me from getting too invested. Yeah, I don't normally like unreliable narrator, but I felt like with the whole motherhood aspect of this one, it kept me liking her because I felt so bad for her.
Yeah, well, we're also like, because of the backstory led to believe, like, that was like throwing suspicion on her.
The backstory,
she thought she was suspicious. Like, she was convincing herself.
Yeah, she's watching herself on this baby monitor, and she's like, "Oh fuck!" What did I do? Like, that was creepy. Yeah, I thought that gave me a paranormal.
Part of me actually, at one point, once she made the connection that like Valerie looked like her, and I was like, wait. So Valerie was probably the one, like, Valerie's involved somehow. I was like, what if Valerie snuck into the room every night?
Oh my God, yeah.
Part of me was like, what if Valerie was the one pretending to sleepwalk to make, like, Isabel think it was her? But, like, at the same time, I'm like, I feel like you would be able to pick it up on camera that it wasn't you, but I'm glad that wasn't it. But I had a thought at one point. I was like, would she be that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go in and guess, but domestic thrillers predictably is less enjoyable for some reason. I definitely agree. I thought she probably would have been more effed up from not sleeping for a year. Yeah, I think like the one like unreliable thing was when she goes and sees the neighbor and he's like, I saw you with your kid in the middle of the night. And she's like, oh my God, was I sleepwalking? Like, that was when it like hit big for me.
That part was interesting that it ended up being Valerie.
Valerie.
I like that as well.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, the twist of Mason took me out. I also would have killed my husband if girlfriend did that stupid shit to me. Yeah. I thought the ending was so good that we got Mason back. Like, I was like, thank God. I couldn't have handled it.
And it was also like kind of like sad. It wasn't like, because she took her and gave her to a woman that like desperately wanted to have a kid but couldn't, and then like the fact that this lady was like sobbing at her like presentations, like knowing that it was a bad situation, but like, what do you like?
Right.
I don't.
You've now especially like you've had this kid for months now. Like,
yeah, it was just a whole thing.
You're in this.
It was a whole thing, and just like, and the thought that, what was her name, Valerie, thought that like Isabel didn't want to be a mother. or like didn't deserve to be a mother. So she took Mason away, even though it was Ben.
Yeah.
That like pissed me off, obviously. Yeah. I didn't feel bad for her because so much of it makes comments of her doing her own shady stuff, like saying she finally gets her time with Ben at his wife's funeral or getting pregnant on purpose. Yeah, she was definitely shady at some points.
Did she get pregnant on purpose?
She did. She flushed her.
He wanted a Band-Aid baby.
Yeah, because he was starting to lose interest. They were like 4 years into their marriage, and
I remember that part, but I guess I just like missed a couple sentences because I remember like her like looking at the test and being like, "Darn it,
regret."
Like,
yeah.
But so I guess I just like missed. Like,
she flushed the birth control down the thing and then like seduced him that night, and she was like, "It didn't take long to get pregnant," and then she felt regret. And he was just like very meh about it. Yeah. But then when she started to go back to work is when it was over for Ben.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't like control her. And then the twist with Allison being pregnant when she died. Yeah. And I thought, so when Allison and Isabel meet at that party and she was like, the stress is hitting me in all the wrong places, I knew that she was pregnant. The way she said that, I was like, I absolutely know this bitch is pregnant. And then when it was like, Waylon was like, she was pregnant, I was like, I knew it. That comment was so weird. I love unreliable narrator. It depends. I loved it in this one. I thought her parents did it. Well, the whole storyline of her parents. And then, like, that case out that, like, just happened with the mom who killed her kids because of psychosis. And I was just like, this is hitting too close to reality right now. I thought it was very weird. But the whole time that Isabel thinks she killed her sister was a lot.
Yeah, and the fact that it, like, her
it
mom.
Was, yeah, like, the mom.
And then the dad.
The dad. The whole family. And then they just like send her money.
Yeah.
To, like make her forget. Oh, yeah. I did feel bad for her having to question herself in everything she believes. Like, what if your memories were like completely wrong and you just like think you did all these things? I would die. Yeah. Those scenes in the nursery gave me goosebumps. So creepy. She's like, I'm just standing there looking at Mason and my eyes are like glowing and it gave me Paranormal Activity vibes. And I was just like,
was it like 2 hours?
Yes, she was standing there for like, and I was like, I am flashing back to watching Paranormal Activity in the theater.
Right. I was like, I don't think this is supposed to be supernatural, but
I
like,
and I was like, so weird.
Like, if you look at the clock, like it's like 3 o'clock or something. Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah, that part creeped me out so bad. Yeah, yeah. Going to the old guy introducing herself as Mama. Roar, this book had me chewing pages as I get near the end. It was creepy. That guy was creepy. Him being like, you carried your son out, and when it was actually Valerie, these were all good twists. I love the ring aspect of the ending and the detective knowing the truth. Same. He was just like, you got your kid back. I don't give a fuck anymore. Mom part was the worst. As I'm a mother, also is so hard for me to read. So that was a bit of redeeming quality. And that did have me care a bit. And is so fierce about her son in this case. Yeah. Like her not being able to sleep and like never giving up and going to these like true crime cons when she like has such a weird relationship with true crime and now she's part of true crime. Like I thought all of these aspects were really interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about women being forced to fix things and figure things out in a family dynamic and feeling guilty about it. And the fact that she was the only one doing anything about it. Like that's how I knew Ben was a red flag and he was just like, you don't want to know what really happened. Like he's dead.
Yeah.
He literally said to Isabel, he's dead. And I was just like, I would never give up. Like, you would never see me. Like, you would never see me again. I'd be looking. After talking it out, I'd say I have a love-hate with this one. I feel like
that's valid, especially
so valid.
Like, who is a mom?
Yeah.
Like,
so true.
Honestly, Isabel and Valerie were both dumb. You got with this dude while he was married. You think the same couldn't happen to you, or he's a good guy. Come on now. Yeah, he's a walking red flag.
Yeah, I just expect characters and thrillers to be dumb.
Yeah. That's what I go
in
with.
Smart, there would be no thriller. Like, there would be no mystery. Like, there would, if they were smart, nothing interesting would happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, bye, Brie.
Bye, Brie. Thanks for coming. I hated the cop in this. For over a year, he thought Ben had something to do with it and never told her. Yeah. Probably because she'd kill him. So
yeah, because she like beat up the guy at the grocery store.
That poor old man at the grocery store. Yeah. I mean, he probably thought she would actually kill him.
And she probably would have.
I would have.
Yeah.
I mean, him going to her and being like, Mason is dead. That'd be it for me.
But does that mean, like, because he genuinely didn't, like, I can't imagine him going and telling her, like, he's dead if he knew that he wasn't.
I think
so. Like, does Ben not know?
I think Ben knew, and he is telling Isabel that Mason is dead, so she would stop.
It just feels like a weird thing to say. Like, he could have like put up the like that he's just like he's missing, he's gone, whatever. It feels like a very strong thing to say if he knew that he wasn't dead.
I feel like. Oh, I don't know what my final opinion on that is, because it is kind of left out. Like, he says he didn't know, but like, you don't really know.
Like, does he actually know what happened to? Like, he knows Valerie did something, but does he know what?
Yeah, I think that like it's easier to say, "Oh, he's dead," and to try to get her to stop looking too.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Like, even if he knows that like Mason is alive but doesn't know where he is,
and honestly,
I feel like to get her to stop looking, it's easier to try to convince her that.
And he didn't care about Mason, so he's just like over it.
Yeah.
So to get Isabel to leave Ben alone, he's like, he's dead. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't. It didn't seem super clear whether or not he did know exactly what happened. That like he might have known.
And
he might have, like, if Valerie told him that she killed him, then like he would have thought that the kid was dead.
I think it's left open, and in my opinion, he knew.
Okay.
But I think it's supposed to be open, and you make your own conclusions about that. But I think that he knew.
Yeah. Bye, Sherry.
Bye, Sherry. Thanks for coming. There was like 4 different stories rolled in one. We haven't even talked about the mom and Margaret. We just talked.
This came in like right before we talked about.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, her parents were the creepiest in here. Forget everyone else. The whole Night River pajama morning. Yeah. Everyone in that family, but like the mom going into psychosis because she had a stillborn, like.
And then the fact that Margaret like named her baby doll after that, like that. Can you? Oh my God.
I don't know. Like, you would have to put me away. You know, like I could not, and you're not supposed to like leave them alone. And the dad goes to work every day.
Yeah.
You know? And then when she asks for help, he's like, "Nope, you can do this on your own."
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
The worst.
Her parents made me mad. Yeah. The twist was kind of predictable, but still shocking. Like, he never interviewed Ben after they separated, and he is going out with a new woman. Yeah.
I think it could have even been because we didn't get the perspective of anyone but whatever her name is.
Isabel?
Yeah. So like in theory, like things could have been investigated, and they could be suspicious, but like there was no proof.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that could be the case because of at the end the cop being like,
yeah, like he knew. I feel like he knew, but telling Isabel, like we said, he would have killed him. I mean, she would have killed him.
Yeah.
I would have too. I felt so bad for her, and she kept not trusting her own brain and mind. That's the thing. Like, I felt like this was a good, unreliable narrator because she wasn't sleeping. You couldn't trust anyone. You got this podcaster, and everyone's lying to her. It's just like, it was messed up. The old guy across the street freaked me out when he was like, we've talked. I saw you take your son. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Especially because it seemed like that man didn't even exist.
I know.
Yeah.
And it all came together at the end.
She made the whole thing up. Okay. She made the whole thing up in her head. apparently.
Yeah. I thought her husband was too calm and collected for me. That's why I feel like he knew. That's my opinion.
True.
Monica, I didn't even think about that. You're right. That was weird. He had to have known second kid he got rid of. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Carol.
Yeah, he knew that the kid was gone, but I just don't know if he knew the arrangement after.
I think he knew the
That's
arrangement.
the only thing. But he might have, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
But I think it's good that the author left it open to interpretation. Like, I love shit like that.
Yeah, it's something that keeps you thinking about the book.
Yeah.
Because
if I reread it, would I pick up something that makes me feel like, oh, okay,
yeah,
this seems like he did know. Like,
Poop Shoes.
Poop Shoes is here!
I just assumed it was Poop Shoes.
Maybe Ben thought Valerie had killed Mason, not just got rid of him. And she could have, like, not told him what exactly she did, just like, I took care of it. So she, like, he assumed that Mason was dead the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he told Isabel that. I lost my comments. Okay. Yep, he wanted her to be crazed and show the world why he left her. Right. If she's crazy, then he looks...
He has an excuse.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had been seeing Valerie for what was it, like 2 years? And he just told her, he's like, oh, by the way, I'm seeing someone. And he's acting like it's new.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, we just, like, this is, like, the first time.
2 years? Oh, my God. I would die. Oh, my God.
And then whenever she was like, well, it only happened because you were out of town. I'm like, she was out of town for, like, 2 days every month.
She, like, went to the next state over to interview people and then was right back. But because he had to take care of
a father with his child.
He had to take care of his son. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oof.
Poor Ben. Poor Ben had to take care of his own child.
Now we need a book with Ben's perspective so we can really be mad. I would
burn so I could burn it.
Right. Monica, same. But if you're gonna kill someone, take out Ben, not Valerie. Ooh, that was a doozy.
But now
I'm
Ben
telling
has to
you,
be in prison, so
yeah, but the whole thing, I'm like Carol said, the thing with the ring, because she mentioned twice that she was wearing like his old ring, and I'm like, why do I care about this? And then when the end is like the ring,
like, oh, I still have this.
I loved that. That was so good. That was so smart. I wondered if the old man was a hallucination from lack. Me too, but when he turned out not to be,
so good,
brilliant. The old man met the mistress, which is why he thought he knew Isabel already. That was literally mind-blowing. Like, the way she brought everything together, this was just way better than Flicker in the Dark.
Together.
I think it was done very, very well. It just, like, wasn't 5 stars for me because of my personal, like, thriller taste. Yeah. But I think it's done so well.
It was for me because, or 4.5 and then 5 because of the way like the little details fit together. And you're like talking about it now, it feels like a 5, which it already is on Goodreads, so I don't have to do anything. Then it blew my mind when it turned out he'd been seeing Valerie, literally. It made sense, but I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that coming either because as like she didn't see that her and Valerie looked the same until Waylon said it. She like it didn't even like occur to her that they looked the same. If we go by Ben being a narcissist, mind twisting kind of guy, then it's safe to say Val was all mixed up also. Yeah, beat her, get thrown in jail because your son is alive now, but don't kill her. Yeah.
I feel like in real life, but in a book it didn't bother me.
Right. It didn't bother me either. Yeah, kind of wanted to slap Valerie. She was so naive, right? And
Carol's next comment, like,
this was exactly what I was gonna say. I didn't even read it. Isn't she a therapist? She has seen through that shit.
I guess it kind of speaks to the power of gaslighting as well.
And he was manipulative, so manipulative,
narcissist and stuff like that. Like.
This book had so much gaslighting, and not just from like one character, but from several characters that you like when you're reading it, you are like, you think she's crazy. Like, you don't know. Is Isabel crazy? Like, did she take her son? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm talking about it now. I'll up it to a 3.
I really love book club discussions because it like there's a lot of things that you don't see, and just like getting other people's perspective on things is just really interesting.
Right.
Yeah, because most of the time we don't agree this closely. Like normally, like
it's me. I'm the one that usually likes it the least.
Yeah, and you still did, but it was still like equal. So we did pretty well this time, but we all are in pretty much agreement with this one.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn is a psychiatrist who went all crazy over Joker, but that's a whole different story. I normally don't like therapist patient stories because she can't be a therapist anymore. It's called interpersonal relationships, and she would be fired. And they never put that in thrillers, but she would no longer be a therapist if she was hooking up with Ben. So they never say that. But yeah, but I think it's 4.5 now for me. I'm glad we could help you. I never mean to do that, but I get like really passionate if I really like a book or if I really hate a book. If I'm just like very meh about a book, I don't have this much passion about it. But I really did like this one.
Yeah. This is one of the best domestic thrillers I've read in a long time.
I think, like what Kat said, it was kind of feminist, but it wasn't like shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
Which I really, really enjoy, because even as like a hardcore feminist, I don't need all the feminism shoved down my throat.
Yeah, I want it to feel natural because like I like agree with the stuff that is said, but I'm like if the author's clearly just like typing their opinions in sentences and then putting it into the book instead of working it in to the story and the characters like as characters, like I'm like just annoyed because it feels forced.
Yeah, and I did not feel like it was forced with this one.
I don't think this one
it was just like placed, here's a little sprinkle of what I'm trying to tell you, and then we're gonna move on to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could bump it up. She did well keeping me anxious and wanting me to create murder board. I'm at 3-star because the first half was so slow, and then all the twists happened made me want to keep going. I get that. I had a hard time with the privilege of being able to get away with what they were able to get away with. Like, it kind of triggered me. Her mom got away with it, with what she did, and then Isabel got away with it.
Yeah.
But then, like, the ending, her getting her son back was really what I wanted and needed as, like, a mom. I needed her to get her son back if he was alive. So I'm glad that he was alive.
But this is definitely a very valid.
Yeah, you are.
But she also did get away with murder.
She got away with murder. And so did her mother.
Yeah.
So, like, would that happen in real life? I really hope not. But in fiction.
And ultimately, so did Ben, because he was in prison for Mason, not for Allison.
Yeah. Ben got away with murder of his first wife. So
and baby.
Yeah.
It's it is a blurred line of like, this is good and really bad.
Yeah.
Talking about just highlights the awesome aspects and how well it was laid out. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it was really, really thought out and everything was placed really correctly.
Like, she clearly had a murder board for her book.
She really did. She really thought the shit out of this. Yeah.
The strings.
Yeah, she really knew how to plot this one out. She did not go in just writing. She knew it.
Yeah.
I wanted to Chuck Norris Ben into next year. That is so valid. Yeah.
Yep.
What was it with all the metaphors through it being a bit tiring to read? I don't read like that. I just read just going in for entertainment. So I didn't get this one.
I didn't catch that either.
No, I didn't catch that either. What is that? 4 stars for me. I appreciated the murder plot points for sure. Yeah. I thought overall this was a good time, but there are things that I didn't like absolutely love about it.
Yeah, I also think that like in thrillers, you kind of expect the main character to get away with whatever the ending is because they're the main character.
Yeah, like, do I think Isabel is a great person? No. She was emotionally cheating with Ben when Ben was married, and she knew it. And she also was an unreliable narrator. Like, at most of the time, she thought that she could have done this to her son, which is scary.
Yeah.
And then she murdered someone at the end. So, like, is she a good person? No.
But that doesn't mean she deserved the things that happened to her.
Yeah, but like the book still made me root for her. And that's what thrillers are all about. Like you are rooting for this completely flawed main character. Yeah. We need to create murder boards for books now. I don't think I'm that smart. I just read the books. I can never plot this shit out. There's no.
If it's a mystery, like I would consider doing it just to try, like a genuine mystery, like maybe. But
this was just like this was better than A Flicker in the Dark, which is good because sometimes I feel like authors have second book syndrome. And I don't think that she had this with this one. It was definitely better than her debut. So that's good because I was nervous after picking it. I'm like, oh God, this is her second one. God, no. I think that's probably it. This was good. Yeah. I'm glad we all were up. Like I picked this one. I always super nervous when I pick a book.
We're all gonna give it 1 star.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, what if I'm the only one who liked this? Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you for the good discussion. I'm glad we had different points of view on this one. That's what I love. I'm glad we all didn't absolutely love this one, because that would be boring. But we will see you next month for episode 13. And once we figure out the dates of that, we will send out notifications for you. We haven't figured it out yet.
So we'll post it on Instagram. And then, that'll be like the main source, like the, I guess, more up-to-date thing. Because we don't usually schedule these until sooner, so they don't get lost.
Yes, we don't. And we also haven't figured it out yet because we gotta look at our schedules. And we don't want to.
And because March starts like next week.
It does. Isn't that scary? Thank you, everyone, again for joining us, and we will see you next month. Bye.